Have you ever noticed how people change their behavior when faced with those who have power? I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about influence, decision-making ability, those who control resources or ideas. Machiavelli observed this 500 years ago in the Italian courts, where princes rose and fell, not because of their goodness, but because of their ability to understand human nature. He wrote that men are ungrateful, fickle, deceitful, and hypocritical. These seem like cruel words, but are they false? Think about your own life. When you faced real difficulties, how many people stood by your side? When you lost status, a job, or social standing, who continued to treat you the same way? The Machiavellian truth isn't that everyone is bad, but that most people act out of self-interest. And that's not necessarily immoral. It's simply human. Recognizing this reality doesn't make you cynical. It makes you prepared. The Florentine never said we should be cruel or dishonest. He said we should be realistic. Virtue without power is powerless. Kindness without strategy is naivete. You can be the most ethical person in the world, but if you lack the ability to influence your own reality, you will live at the mercy of others' decisions. And here is the first Machiavellian paradox. Power does not necessarily corrupt, but the lack of power certainly makes one vulnerable. Look around you. Who sets the rules of the game? Who decides who will be promoted? Who will receive opportunities? Who will be listened to? It's not always the kindest person, but often the one most prepared to exert influence. Machiavelli teaches us that before judging the world as unjust, we must understand its real laws, not the ones we would like to exist. And the first law is this: whoever does not cultivate some form of power becomes dependent on the power of others. But what kind of power are we talking about? Just money? Absolutely not. And that's where the story starts to get interesting. Let me tell you about two men. The first amassed a considerable fortune but never developed social skills or in-depth knowledge in any field. When he lost his money in an economic crisis, he also lost his entire network of contacts. The second was never rich but possessed rare knowledge, cultivated genuine relationships, and knew how to communicate ideas clearly. When faced with adversity, he always found open doors, not out of pity, but because he represented real value to others. Machiavelli distinguished between fortune and virtue. Fortune is what destiny bestows upon us, external circumstances, luck. Virtue is personal capacity, the ability to shape circumstances in one's favor. Money can be fortune, something inherited or acquired temporarily, but virtue is non-transferable. One's knowledge, one's built reputation, one's ability to solve complex problems, one's network of relationships based on true reciprocity. Think about how many people you know who have financial resources but live imprisoned by the fear of losing them. They don't control the money controls them. They live paranoid, unable to trust, always suspecting that others only approach them for material gain. This is not freedom. It's another form of slavery. Machiavelli would warn us, if your only power is external and transferable, you are fundamentally fragile. Now consider someone who has developed truly rare skills: an exceptional surgeon, a skilled negotiator, an original thinker, a leader who inspires genuine loyalty. These people possess intrinsic power. They can lose everything materially and rebuild because their value resides within themselves, not in external possessions. This is the kind of power Machiavelli respected, the kind that emerges from competence and a deep understanding of human nature. The question then becomes, are you building real power or merely accumulating symbols of power? Are you developing irreplaceable capabilities or, depending on circumstances, that could evaporate? And most importantly, do you understand why people truly choose to follow, respect, or support someone? Machiavelli observed something disturbing. People rarely act on the motives they declare. We say we value honesty, but we promote those who bring us results. We claim that character matters, but we admire those who win. We proclaim high principles, but we follow those who demonstrate strength. Does this make us hypocrites? Perhaps. Or perhaps just human. The Florentine didn't judge us for this duplicity. He described it, and his description contained a liberating truth. Once you understand the true motivators of human actions, you stop being manipulated by empty rhetoric and begin to see reality as it is. People respond to concrete incentives, not abstract sermons. They respond to demonstrations of ability, not empty promises. They respond to those who can truly affect their lives, for better or worse. Does this mean we should be cynical and manipulative? Absolutely not. It means we should be strategic and realistic. If you want to build something valuable, a business, a career, a community, you need to understand what truly motivates people. Not what they say motivates them, but what actually moves them. Security, recognition, belonging, personal growth. These are real motivators. Now for the provocative question. How many times have you failed because you trusted what people said instead of observing what they did? How many opportunities have you missed because you played by the stated rules, while others played by the real rules? Machiavelli didn't invent this game. He merely described it with brutal honesty. And knowing the real rules doesn't force you to play dirty. It empowers you to play effectively. Consider the difference between respect and fear, between admiration and envy. Machiavelli said that it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. But feared does not mean hated. It means that people know you have a real capacity to affect circumstances, that your actions have consequences, that you are not harmless. Someone competent, prepared, capable of saying no when necessary, of defending positions, of making difficult decisions, inspires a kind of respect mixed with healthy caution, and this respect is more lasting than superficial affection. Let's talk about something few admit, the relationship between vulnerability and exploitation. Machiavelli observed that excessive kindness without the strength to protect it invites abuse, not because everyone is a predator, but because some are, and those few are enough to destroy those who lack defenses. A kingdom governed solely by ethical principles, without military capacity, would be quickly conquered. A person who is merely kind without clear limits or the ability to defend themselves will inevitably be exploited. There's a fascinating study on reciprocity. When you help someone once, it often creates gratitude. When you help repeatedly without ever asking for anything in return, it creates contempt. It seems unfair, but it's psychological truth. People tend to devalue what they obtain without effort or reciprocity. Machiavelli would understand perfectly. Strategic generosity creates alliances. Indiscriminate generosity creates parasites. This isn't a defense of selfishness. It's a recognition that value needs to be recognized as value. If you solve everyone's problems for free, your skill loses. Perceived value. If you're always available without limits, your time ceases to be respected. If you never demand reciprocity, people assume you don't need it or don't deserve it. Cruel? Maybe. Real? Definitely. Now observe those who truly prosper, not just financially, but in influence and achievement. They have something in common. They know when to be generous and when to be firm. They know how to build bridges and also when to burn them. They understand that trust without verification is naivete, that forgiveness without consequences is weakness, that kindness without discernment is self-sabotage. Machiavelli doesn't ask us to abandon virtues, but to exercise them wisely. Think about your own experience. Are the people who respect you most those you have helped unconditionally, or those who know you help selectively? Who truly values your presence, those who have unlimited access to you, or those who know that your time and attention are finite and valuable resources? The answer reveals the true economics of human relationships, the one that Machiavelli mapped with surgical precision. We've reached the crucial point: how to apply all this without losing one's soul. Because Machiavelli never advocated sociopathy, he advocated effectiveness. And there is a fundamental difference between being strategic and being destructive. The ideal Machiavellian prince does not govern through cruelty, but through firm justice. He does not lie habitually, but knows when strategic silence is necessary. He does not betray alliances lightly, but recognizes when loyalty has become one-sided. The modern Machiavellian synthesis would be this: cultivate real skills that create genuine value for others. Develop multiple forms of power, specialized knowledge, a network of relationships based on reciprocity, financial resources, yes, but never only that. A solid reputation built through consistent results, persuasive communication skills, and psychological resilience to face adversity. These combined elements make you simultaneously valuable and difficult to replace. But here's the refinement. Use that power primarily to expand your autonomy, not to dominate others. Machiavelli wrote for princes who governed states. You govern your own life. And the goal is not to subjugate, but to free yourself from dependence on the approval, resources, or decisions of others. The more real power you accumulate, the more genuine choices you possess. And choice, the ability to determine your own path, is the purest definition of freedom. Note also that Machiavelli valued genuine loyalty above bought subservience. An ally who chooses to stand by your side out of mutual respect and shared benefit is infinitely more trustworthy than someone bound solely by financial necessity. Build relationships where both sides win, where there is reciprocal respect, where remaining is a choice and not a prison. That is sustainable power. And finally, never forget, Machiavelli lived through the Florentine Republic, witnessed the rise and fall of regimes, brutal betrayals, and heroic loyalties. His conclusion was not that the world is evil, but that it is complex, and navigating complexity requires more than good intentions. It demands a deep understanding of human nature, strategic preparation, and the courage to make difficult decisions. Are you prepared for that? So here we are, at the end of this journey through Machiavellian thinking applied to contemporary life. And the conclusion isn't about becoming rich or powerful in the conventional sense. It's about developing the real capacity to influence your own existence. It's about ceasing to be a plaything of circumstances and beginning to shape them. Start by identifying what form of power you already possess but don't recognize. Perhaps it's in-depth knowledge of a subject, perhaps the ability to connect with people, perhaps resilience tested by adversity, perhaps the simplicity and capacity to work intensely when necessary. Acknowledge this power, amplify it, transform it into something that others genuinely value. Next, identify your vulnerabilities, not to beat yourself up, but to strategically correct them. Excessive dependence on a single source of income. Diversify. Lack of communication skills. Develop them. Absence of a reliable network of contacts. Build it. Relationship by relationship, based on real reciprocity. Fear of conflict that prevents you from setting boundaries. Learn that respectful disagreement is a sign of maturity, not hostility. Machiavelli teaches us that fortune is capricious, but virtue is cultivable. You don't control all circumstances, but you control who you become in the face of them, and who you become determines which opportunities you can seize when they arise. Luck favors the prepared not because the universe is fair, but because the prepared recognize and seize opportunities that others don't even notice. The authentic Machiavellian path isn't about crushing competitors or selfishly accumulating wealth. It's about deeply understanding how the world truly works, beyond moralizing rhetoric, and using that understanding to navigate it effectively. It's about developing real, multifaceted, and sustainable power, not empty status symbols. It's about building genuine autonomy through competence, strategy, and reciprocal relationships. Now the decision is yours. You can continue believing that the world should work a certain way and become frustrated when it doesn't. Or you can accept it as it really works and learn to thrive within that reality. Machiavelli offers the map. You decide the destination. If this content resonated with you, leave your mark here. Like it so more people can find these ideas. Comment, even anonymously. Share your reflections or disagreements. And subscribe to the channel, because we will continue exploring thinkers who had the courage to describe reality without comforting filters. Until the next journey, through thought that truly transforms.